Thank you for coming to my presentation. My name is Eduardo Alvarez, and I will be discussing building resilience to fight employee burnout. This research aims to shed more light on the importance of medical staff in emergency rooms taking time off from work. Medical staff have one of the most stressful jobs possible. On a daily basis, medical staff have to make difficult decisions and work. Daily stressors take an exceptional toll on the clinicians and, if not caught, will lead to employee burnout and potential medical mistakes. This study will seek to answer if taking advantage of paid time off offered by employers is the best way to build resilience against employee burnout. Participants from various hospitals will be contacted and handed a questionnaire to be filled out. Right afterwards, they will be debriefed and the data will be input into a password secure file. After all the data is complete, it will be analyzed to truly determine if medical staff using their PTO truly helps build their resilience to burnout. Mistakes are inevitable, but medical mistakes that are made from carelessness is unforgivable. It is a doctor's duty to take care of patients, but in order for them to do that, they must first take care of themselves. Employees suffering from burnout are more likely to be involved in health and safety incidents. This can cost an organization large compensation and potential legal actions, according to Matwich D. 2011. Paid time off, also known as PTO, are days that have accumulated in which the employee can use for personal choice. This may vary from vacation, mental days, or any form of absence from work, which the employee is not penalized or will not be missing pay for the day. There are various reasons as to why taking time off for work can be beneficial. To start off, the main benefit is that it reduces stress, increases creativity, and increases the immune system. But most importantly is that the right amount of rest improves performance. The reduction in stress will also reduce the likelihood of sickness and mental breakdown. The main benefit is that the person will be a better employee. When returning from the break, the employee will be more relaxed and will be able to cooperate with peers and leading their team if they are a manager or supervisor. Time off is also known to decrease absences and increase overall job satisfaction. We will be studying the stress levels of doctors and nurses who work in the emergency room and use their PTO to help fight stress. Doctors and nurses have one of the most stressful jobs. This is even more true for those that work in the emergency room. They are the ones that need to be taking care of themselves and taking the right amount of time off from work. Burnout in medical professionals is quite frankly something that is not receiving enough attention. It is well known that medical staff work long hours and spend the majority of their shift making difficult decisions. Because they are so busy taking care of us, who is taking care of them? They are human and susceptible to burnout just as everyone is. Burnout originates when an employee reaches a high level of stress. This is either from working too many hours or an overwhelming workload. The employee will become frustrated with work and it could lead to them leaving the company or other things such as medical problems. Common signs of burnouts are mistakes, depression, and irritability. The best way to fight a burnout is to have a proper balance of life. A proper work-life balance is needed for everyone to function according to Cupper. Despite stress being inevitable in any job, there are many ways to reduce the likelihood of it taking a toll on the body. After noticing that a burnout is occurring, there are several options for handling it. The first and best step is to communicate it to a supervisor. Making them aware will allow them to lessen the workload, which will help reduce the stress. Managers are there not just to care of the patients, but also the staff. Confining them is the best first step. The second best step is to find out the trigger, whether it being an overwhelming workload or just a patient that was very difficult to deal with. Finding out the cause of the problem will allow you to figure out a solution for it. The third and best step is taking time off from work if you feel it is needed. Taking time off from work will allow one to refresh and catch their breath. They'll be ready to go back to work with more energy and focus after they do. Resilience is the ability to recover from tough situations. Taking time off from work will allow them to reevaluate and recharge. The stresses from being a medical professional is that the job can be stressful. The main stresses of the job is that you are caring for the ill, You're witnessing dying patients, seeing them suffer, and delivering bad news to their families, them, and as well as making difficult decisions throughout the entire day. The external factors are the excessive workloads, documentation, and the company's metrics. Medical staff have to be aware of everything that is occurring, along with being aware of themselves. In an article written by Danley M. in 2012, he stated that the doctors must be responsible for looking after themselves. They should be fully adherent to adequate sleep, exercise, and their medical needs. Here are some other benefits of the paid time off. In an article written by Neff TM, Victor Room developed the theory of motivation. Motivation can be defined as how much energy someone puts into accomplishing a goal. The energy is equivalent to the desire to reach a goal. Frederick Herzberg expanded on Victor Room's theory. He said that there is one way to give motivation at work: give them challenging work that they could assume responsibility for. He claims this is the ultimate motivator. During the research, he also stated that salary is not a motivator, but is classified as a pusher because it is a sanctioned behavior or rewarded, but it did not generate any internal motivation. The graph above is an example of motivators versus demotivators. In a study by Neff TM, they sought to discover the best way to motivate the employees in their law firms. Similar to medical staff, lawyers also work under a tremendous amount of stress. Their staff members and clients demand high quality service from the law firms and the lawyers that they hire. Law firms need to make sure that they follow the proper techniques for providing staff with extrinsic and intrinsic motivation. Supervisors and managers are the people who are giving instructions and are the ones who are given the task. The best way to optimize leadership between stresses and rewards is to reduce burnout and boost resilience. This all depends on the way that the problems are perceived and communicated by leadership. If an employee is overworked, they will interpret their manager's task as another hassle. This will also go on. They will also go on to believe that the higher ups do not care nor or appreciate them as employees. Motivation can be defined as altering performance to obtain a certain outcome. Victor H. Room is a developer of the expectancy theory. This theory will explain their behavior and their choices. A famous example of what happens when medical staff make a medical mistakes due to burnout is the Libby Zion case. In an article written by Mazad LS, Libby Zion was an 18-year-old female that was taken to the emergency room for fever and agitation. The people that were in charge of taking care of her were Louis Weinstein and Greg Stone, two hospital residents. Louis was an intern 8 months out of medical school, and Greg Stone had been 2 years out of medical school. During the middle of the night, Louise was left to take care of 40 other patients she was covering while Greg was in the building next door asleep. If needed, he was to be contacted by a beeper. At 6 a.m., a nurse went to check on her, and the temperature was at 107 degrees. Winston was called to try and help and lower the temperature, but she ended up passing away. The reason why was because Louise was covering 40 patients at the time when Greg was asleep at the building next door after working a 36-hour shift. Ultimately, the burnout and the overbearing workload is what led to the mistake and caused the death of Libby Zion. All of this could have been avoided had the medical staff been properly relieved and properly taken care of. Conducting this research is fairly simple. The first step is to prepare the questionnaire and gather the participants. After the participants are gathered, the participants must be informed of the purpose of the research and how the information will be stored. One must reach out to different hospitals and network to gather enough participants. The participants are given all the time they need to fill out the questionnaire. After the questionnaire, the participants will be debriefed. The data will be input into Microsoft Excel, analyzed, and stored in a password-secure lock. There needs to be a substantial number of participants, at least 50. There should be enough number of participants to cover various backgrounds. Only thing all these participants should have in common is they all work in emergency room medical settings. They're all medical professionals such as doctors, nurses, residents, attending physicians, and so on. The participants should vary by age, sex, race, and genders. Participants should come from various hospitals. For this study, some of the participants will be from New York, Presbyterian Hospital, Mount Sinai, and some hospitals in Connecticut. They were chosen because they were the closest hospitals. This will be done by networking either on social media, professional affiliations, and going to hospitals and explaining the study. The materials that will be needed for this project is the survey and the electronic device for participants to fill out the survey if they are filling it out online. If the participant is not filling out the survey online and would prefer to do it in person, then a physical copy of the survey is provided. The survey is the main data collection. For this study, an original one was created. The first step will be to compose the survey. The survey will contain questions that cover the topics of paid time off, stress levels, past or upcoming vacations, what makes the job stressful, and an open section for them to describe how they personally reduce stress. This research aims to shed more light on the importance of medical staff in emergency rooms taking time off from work. Taking time off from work has been proven to reduce stress and remotivate employees. The information gathered from the participants will be stored in a password protected laptop and also a password protected file. The data will be gathered through a questionnaire. The survey will contain questions such as how likely are you to take a vacation within the next 6 months, rate your level of stress, and the last five questions will be open ended. The data will be organized in Microsoft Excel. The best method for analyzing this data is through a one sample t test. This test allows for testing between two groups. If calculations are complete, the p-value is less than the significance level, which is a equals 0.05. Then there is enough evidence to reject the null hypothesis. That means that the data is statistically significant enough to support that PTO does reduce stress. The data gathered will be created and turned into graphs to display the findings. Linear graphs will be used to display correlation between PTO and stress level. Double bar graphs will also be used to compare stress levels before and after PTO use. These are some of the questions that will be on the questionnaire. Thank you for taking time to listen to my presentation. I hope to hear any feedback or comments from you soon.